think we are ready to go ahead and get started. We've got a lot of folks joined into Zoom, and we appreciate you attending today. Again, my name is Scott Gore from the Federal Aviation Administration, Office of Government and Industry Affairs. And if everyone could try to make sure you're on mute through Zoom or through your phone that you're dialing in, that would be great. Since we have a large group, we're going to ask everyone to stay muted until we get to the Q&A portion at the end of the briefing. And feel free to submit questions through the chat feature in Zoom. We'll answer as many of those as we can when we get to Q&A. And if you do have a question, you could also try using the raise hand feature in Zoom. You should see that within the participants part of the Zoom window. So with that, let's jump into the topic of today's briefing, which is to provide everyone an update with two new initiatives that the FAA is establishing. First is a new category of the FAA's Collegiate Training Initiative, or CTI program, as it's often referred to. This new category is focused on collegiate programs for unmanned aircraft systems. And this will be in addition to the two existing categories of CTI that the FAA has for air traffic control and for technical operations. And the second initiative is a new consortium for small unmanned aircraft systems technology training. This consortium will be available exclusively to to public two-year institutions of higher education that become designated as a unmanned aircraft CTI school. So the CTI initiative is available to both 4- and 2-year institutions. The consortium for small unmanned aircraft systems technology training is exclusively for public 2-year institutions of higher education that get designated as an unmanned aircraft CTI. Both of these initiatives are being established pursuant to congressional direction in the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2018, specifically sections 631 and 632 of the Act. And to provide you more details on these initiatives, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Diana Robinson, from the FAA's UAS Integration Office. Diana, go ahead.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I had to unmute there. Thank you, Scott, and good afternoon, everyone. It's truly an honor to be presenting to such a prestigious group. During this pandemic, our educators and leaders have had to make, some tough decisions, such as ending school years, the school year, relocating workers, the class to online learning, and lots of Zoom meetings, and here we are today. Our hope is that this new unmanned aircraft systems drone collegiate training initiative program will be a positive for you and perhaps brighten your day. Those in the DC area are not having such a sunny day. It's actually quite rainy today. Before the overview, Scott had already brought up about if you have a question, there you go. So if you have a question during the presentation, you can enter your questions on the chat feature. And then at the end of the presentation, if you click on participants, you'll see the little raise hand, and click on that, and then we'll try to get to all your questions and get them answered. So what this is all about, with the rapid growth of unmanned aircraft systems, we realized there was a need to ensure that this new technology is going to be safely integrated into the national airspace system. And it's also really important that we build a pipeline of qualified professionals so that we can meet this increasing demand. And because of this, and in response to the congressional requirement that Scott talked about earlier, the FAA is establishing this new collegiate training initiative that will help with preparing students for careers in UAS. So the FAA 2018 Reauthorization Act required that the FAA establish this collegiate training initiative program relating to UAS. It's also called for a process to designate a consortia of 2-year institutions of higher education as community and technical college centers of excellence in small UAS system technology training. So we kind of have the two different pieces of it. And then this next slide showing the structure is basically saying and repeating what Scott said. We'll have the CTI, which covers everyone, both 2- and 4-year schools, but the consortium will be kind of a subset of the 2-year schools, and they'll automatically become part of that as a CTI. So I'll let you look at that in a minute. Oh, okay.
There we go. I went back to the previous one for just a second.
That's all right. Thank you. So who is eligible? Not-for-profit 2- 4-year post-secondary educational institution, either public or private. The accreditation must be institutionally accredited by an agency recognized by the U.S. Secretary of Education. And then the degree certification program currently offering that bachelor associate's degree in UAS, or a degree with a minor, a concentration, or a certificate in UAS, as a lot of the programs are doing that, a lot of the aviation programs, but other programs as well. If you want to go ahead to the other, thanks. So in Section 631 of the Reauthorization Act, it specifically stated that schools address education and training requirements that are associated with the various types of small unmanned aircraft systems, components, related equipment. So I won't read every one of these. These are actually in the program document, and then you'll see at the end of this presentation that there's a link that's active now for schools to go in and read a little bit more about the requirements. One of the things here that stands out, besides we want them to have hands-on training, simulator type training if you're equipped for that, but understanding policy and regulations, of course, is one of the key objectives. So next steps is the application process, and we've tried to make it simple. And so you would want to send information, the name of your school, point of contact, the school type, go ahead and list that accreditation, description of UAS degree programs or certification programs that you have in place. And then there's going to be opportunity to grow into a program. You know, the application process is on a rolling basis. There's no specific application period. And then, of course, we would work with anybody that had questions, or how can I become part of this program? But there is the address to send that information to. And then the next step, which would be next slide. Once we receive the email and the information provided, a questionnaire, an initial questionnaire will be sent out to that the point of contact or the school rep to complete. And this will ensure that the school meets the participation criteria, but also it'll be our initial record of each institution's program. And once the questionnaire is received and the school is found eligible, the FAA and the school will establish this 3-year CTI Memorandum of Understanding. So that will also be a piece of it. Also in the questionnaire, it's divided into like 7 different components, questions within each category for accreditation, degree programs, the major, minor. Also, we'll be looking at curriculum and testing. Some of the questions on the initial will be, how are you going to do this, of course, and then every following year there'll be an annual, so that it'll give opportunity to update not only information that we keep in our records, but if the program were to change up a little, then you'll be able, the schools will be able to do that. Also, it'll ask about faculty, program support. So important to network, especially the consortium part of this, being able to pass that information, so that we can all work together again to reach the needs for the future workforce. Diversity and inclusion, and then just the continuous performance and improvement initiatives. That's another component of the questionnaire, because it's going to be important for the students and schools to provide information back to us, so that if we need to, change things up a little, we can do that. So we truly believe there's going to be multiple benefits for both the UAS CTI program and the consortium. Recruiting, marketing opportunity for the school's UAS programs. You'll have access to FAA resources. There'll be recognition of the program on our website. We're talking through a lot of these to really benefit the schools by that recognition, and then technical support from FAA regarding the UAS programs. And I can promise you there's a specialist in just about every area that you would have a question on UAS within our program. And then benefits of the consortium, participation, possibly, well, we're planning to have annual meetings, but there may be opportunities for other engagement with the FAA, maybe our local offices, events that are going on. We plan to host webinars, have some teleconferences, and just, the development and sharing of best practices with other schools is going to be an important and really great benefit. So measure of success, it'll become this collaboration between the FAA, universities, colleges, technical schools. Results of the working relationship will include this continuous dialogue with you, the stakeholders, to connect universities with general industry, local governments, law enforcement, regional economic development, and so many other things that, so many other areas that we could talk about, but that'll address the labor force needs. And the quality of information shared during this working relationship will ensure that knowledge and skills are obtained, and we'll see these well-trained, safety-conscious graduates and professionals before they embark on their careers. Program details, we went live today. You can click on this. Were you going to try to do that, Scott, to show?
Yeah, I'll try to go into the new webpage. The new webpage that we just stood up today for the program. Let me see if I can pull that up in Zoom. Let's see, did it load?
There we go.
So this is our new webpage that Diana was just mentioning. Go ahead, Diana.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so under the FAA's UAS webpage, faa.gov/UAS, you'll find on the left-hand navigation, there is a section for educational users. And then within that, there's this new page for the new initiative that we're standing up today. And the program guide is there's a link to a PDF program guide here on the page as well. It has the instructions for submitting the initial information that we talked about in the slides a minute ago. The email address is here, and the information that we're hoping to receive. And you can see the URL is at the top of the screen. Hopefully that's visible as well. If you go to faa.gov/UAS and then click on the educational users section, then this UAS Collegiate Training Initiative page should be visible to you. Let me scroll back up to the top.
And once that happens too, of course, then you'll have, I'm one of the ones that you could be in contact with. There'll be other names and phone numbers so that you don't just have to send emails back and forth or, through whatever other media, but we will actually give you a call and talk with you on different pieces of the program. And I see there's quite a few comments and questions. I don't know who all was going to be fielding those, but yeah, so it is open to all schools.
Yeah, so why don't we try, we'll go through some of the Q&A that was submitted through the chat function and see if we can answer some of those, and then we can try to open the floor again and see if either verbally or through the raise hand feature, we can make the slides available. We'll post those. And people asked about recording the webinar session. The FAA is recording the session, and we will post it as well through our social media channels. So we'll find a way to distribute the link to that, or you can look on our social media channels. We have a YouTube page and through Facebook and Twitter to find the video for today's webinar. And we'll post the slides, I think, on this new page for the program that we created as well. Are there any schools currently accredited for the program? And this new CTI initiative for unmanned systems, this is in addition to the agency's existing CTI programs for air traffic control and for technical operations. So we have a couple dozen schools. I think we have 30 or 40 in both of those sections, but this new category of CTI for unmanned systems, this is a new initiative. And so we'll be standing up both these schools designated as a CTI and the consortium. Those are new programs, and so there's no schools currently in them. But effective today, schools can start going through the process to apply. Let's see, and Diana, feel free, and others from the FAA side in the UAS office, if you want to scroll through the Q&A in the chat function and see if you'd like to jump in and try to answer any. There's one on whether the instructors must be FAA certified flight instructors. Diana, do you want to take that one?
We have listed that they need to, it would be great if they were like Part 107, but we know that maybe they don't have it, but they're very familiar with UAS. So that'll all be part of the application process and questionnaire. So don't think that you're not qualified. I would go ahead and send your information, and we can talk with you in more detail about that. And along that same line, does an institution need to have a UAS program where we support the development of a new program? Of course, we would love to see the development of new programs. Become a member, I think we are kind of requiring that, yes, you have a program in place, but that doesn't mean that we won't work with you developing so that you can then join as soon as you're ready, and then again, that'll be the dialogue between us. And okay. As far as this is brand new, but there are the other CTI programs that Scott mentioned earlier. We will send, what we're planning to do is send like a blast email to the schools that do have UAS programs, to the schools that are already a CTI school, and then others. We'll try to get it out as much as we can to all schools, but those will be the targeted initial schools.
Okay, we'll keep going through some more chat questions, and then we can try to open it verbally if anyone wants to unmute and try to ask a question. Hopefully that will work and we won't have a lot of people stepping over each other. But let's go through some more. There was a chat question on how many schools will be selected to participate in the UAS CTI program.
It's open, but there's no limitation there if they meet the criteria. And we'll begin accepting right away. One of the questions was, when will we? And so now that it's all gone live, it's now. Anytime you want to start submitting. Okay, let's see here. So the 15 community colleges in California, I think Sarah, you posted that, looking to implement into our agricultural programs. What a great way to use drones in agricultural programs, but you don't currently have a program. Please do apply, because again, we'll talk, we'll help you maybe establish your program or just give you some tips on establishing programs so that you can then become a part of the CTI. But I highly recommend that, yes, you go ahead and contact us through that link that was given, or it was a link given, or email, and we'll talk with you. We're going to reach out to anyone that reaches out to us.
Yeah, and that's one of the great benefits that I see. This is Scott again from FAA. This new program allows information sharing, and it allows best practices and discussion across the higher education sectors and with the FAA, with UAS industry, as we're all trying to work towards further integration of unmanned systems into the airspace and ensure that there's a pipeline of proficient operators and trained and safe unmanned systems operators that will support the growing demand and the usage of unmanned systems across a variety of economic sectors. And so as we develop both of these two new programs, the CTI for unmanned systems and the new consortium, we'll be looking for ways to share those best practices and work with all of the CTI schools, work with the consortium, and even develop further benefits for each of those programs and each of the groups and schools that are part of them as these new programs are stood up, and as our Unmanned Aircraft Systems Integration Office works with each of the schools that apply. Okay,
There
Diana?
are a few other
Yeah, go
questions
ahead.
here that go ahead, Scott.
No, can UAS training programs include non-credit certification licensure programs, or must they be part of a credit degree program? Diana?
Okay,
Thoughts on that
they
one?
need to be part of a credit degree program, not just, well, you can have a program, and then if it's a certificate, we are looking at that we actually have that in our language, that because I know there are some schools that have like a degree in some sort of aviation, but a concentration on UAS, and basically they're getting those pilots ready to take Part 107, so they would very much qualify. And I don't know if I answered that 100% correctly, but there's some really good questions here. Some I'm not completely sure how to answer. One of the ones clarifying about the 4-year schools are not eligible. The 631 is saying 2 years, but you will still get a wealth of information, and we want you to be part of our CTI. And the difference between the two, Scott?
Just a quick comment on that. The 4-year schools have a lot of experience with UAS, at least many of them do. I'm just kind of curious if there's going to be a venue for us to share our best practices.
Absolutely. That's once we have, that's part of the CTI is the networking piece. The consortium actually will probably have like an annual meeting, distribute some information. We're going to really encourage that they'll be sharing best practices. For the CTI program, it will be us, you, the other universities. More often, I should say. We'll probably do, monthly, quarterly. That's our plan right now. Different, whether it be just a quick blast about what's the latest going on in UAS. Ryan, did that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I saw some more chat questions on whether new college programs could be part of this initiative, or if they have to be more mature programs that already have graduates.
I think Danielle actually addressed that, saying your school does not have, if your school does not have a current program, you can apply after you build a new program. So that is a requirement. And what we're going back to the certification, more formal, again, it's acknowledged as a concentration minor, because just taking a class here or there, or one course, that won't qualify.
Okay, and then there was also a question about the difference between the two, the CTI designation and the consortium. So maybe Diana and I can try to both perhaps address parts of that. So there were 2 different initiatives that Congress directed the FAA to stand up. They were this consortium that was for only 2-year public institutions of higher education. And then the CTI program is available to both 4-year and 2-year colleges and universities. And so we're finding ways to have benefits and some unique interaction and opportunities for engagement between the FAA and the schools in both programs, and with each other, and opportunities to interact, as Diana said. There is no federal funding for either program. That may have been a question that was raised in chat here somewhere, or may have been on people's minds, but under the FAA's existing CTI programs in the other areas as well, there's no funding provided for those programs. However, schools can use the designations for their own recruiting and marketing purposes. And that was something that Congress had considered during the process to enact these directives. However, ultimately they determined not to provide funding for these initiatives. And so that's the reason that there's no federal funding that would go to schools under either program. But again, there's lots of other ways that we can engage with all of the schools, and we look forward to both of these initiatives being really helpful as we stand them up and work with the schools in the consortium and the schools that are designated as the CTI initiative. Diana, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I see like 3 in a row that I'd like to just quickly address.
Sure.
A couple of questions here are really good questions. So one of them is, how will this initiative integrate into the upcoming remote ID regulations for UAS? And how I'm going to answer that is that's one of those topics that we'll be able to keep, through our dialogue, through our communications, to help you all understand that. And especially, since you'll be the students entering the workforce, but as well as professors delivering that information. We've not got the remote ID completely figured out yet, so that couldn't be like a, we will integrate it when it's time, absolutely. Along with that, what was another one that I saw? Oh, the COA be available as a fast track for participants. Wouldn't that be nice to just be able to, yeah, you're a CTI grad, so we'll get you a COA, but those will be things that we can share information, help you to understand it more clearly through our support center and this program. And the ideal time for applications, you can start applying now. And how's COVID ID going to impact this process? It shouldn't impact it. We're working from home, and eventually we'll get back to the offices, and just dependent on what your schools, what they're planning for, the fall or summer or whatever. If you're flowing along, we'll flow right along with you.
Yeah, and this is Scott again. I just want to add to that. Again, we see this as a really important initiative as the industry continues to grow and as there continues to be more and more unmanned aircraft courses and programs out there, both at the 2-year college level and at the 4-year bachelor's degree level. And so that's why even under this current environment with the public health emergency, we wanted to get this program up and running and get it announced and have an opportunity to talk with all of you and have schools go through the process to have the time to work on getting their CTI designation so that you can use that for your planning for the upcoming academic year for the fall 2020 and into 2021. So we thought this would be a good time to get the program announced and have people start working toward their designations.
And then about a syllabus of what type of courses, classes for the accreditation. Your accreditation is your accreditation. Who it's through U.S. Secretary of Education, accrediting agency. That was our concern, that you're an accredited school. But to become part of the CTI, earlier in the presentation, there was a list of goal and objectives, classes that, or areas that you would want your classes to focus on. So that is to become part of the CTI, we would want you to offer. Yeah, there you go.
So I'm going to put that back up on from the slides just for a minute, so we can we can touch on that again in terms of what course requirements and curriculum needs to include. That list of 7 items comes right out of the language from the Reauthorization Act in Section 631, and so we thought that would be a very good framework to utilize for the CTI designation. That we're expecting programs to include these elements to become designated as a CTI.
Some of these other questions I'm not sure how to answer or what to answer. The UAS training programs include non-credit certification licensure programs, or must they be part of a credit degree program? Those are those that we're going to look at. If you have a degree program that you have the concentration certificate somewhat connected with your program, then you may, you very well may get in. So don't not apply if you're thinking along those lines. Point of contact for developing programs. Go ahead and send your questions to that the email that's listed on the slides. And that's that last slide, Scott, if you want to go to it real quick. And then I'm also going to ask, we have others that are participating in this call. If you have an answer to, you see some of these, there's so many questions. So can we capture all these questions? I don't know, using Zoom is new to me. Can we capture all the questions and answer?
I think so.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Scott, if you don't mind. I am periodically saving the chat. So This is Alina George. I'm also with AUS, with FAA. If you would like to put your questions and emails in the chat, I am saving the chat periodically. And we do want to make sure that we get answers to all of you. So some of these questions are great and can probably put into a FAQ. But we are keeping track of all of them, and we'll respond to you as we can.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alina.
This is Danielle Corbett. I've been trying to answer some questions in the chat as we've gone along. I just thought I'd jump in here. So yes, it's program agnostic, industry agnostic. I mean, that was one of the questions. In fact, we write in the program documents that we're interested in seeing different applications and kinds of applications of UAS. So it's certainly not just for operations. It's not a flight program. We're looking at different ways of using UAS in the various industries here, like you mentioned, construction, agriculture, oil and pipeline, government, law enforcement, all that stuff. So good question. Thank you.
And the different emails that are popping up for, to receive information. Again, very prestigious group. We really appreciate you all joining us today and showing interest.
Absolutely. And since the chat function is now, we're getting lots of email addresses, and there were a lot of great questions in there. If you're still in the Zoom and you have a great question that you think would be beneficial for the whole group to hear, feel free, and you can try to unmute yourselves and ask it verbally. Hopefully we won't have too many people stepping over each other to ask a question, but if you want to give it a shot, go ahead.
You can also raise your hand there.
Well, I have one actually, if you don't mind. Can everyone hear me okay, by the way? No?
Yeah,
Yes?
yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. So I have a question on how the remote ID will be implemented in this, if there's any kind of benefits for community colleges or any kind of institutions with the remote ID, since that is potentially an issue that may impact the current practices of educational institutions. I was wondering if there's any benefits of being part of this consortium or anything in regards to that as well.
I'll handle that one. So remote ID is still in just NPRM form, proposed rule form, and the final rule hasn't come out yet, so we don't know what it will contain. But there's nothing in the NPRM about certain accommodations for members of this program in particular. But there are other things that may contribute to that would benefit you, such as the exception for recreational flyers. In the proposed rulemaking, they talked about the FRIAs, I forget what that stands for, the FAA remote ID areas. And these are kinds of accommodations that might enable areas or certain types of operations without remote ID. So in short, not specific to members of this program, but you may still benefit by the nature of what you're doing, depending on what the final rule looks like.
Thank you, Danielle.
This is Josh Friedman. I'm wondering, will this distinction be for the college or campus, or is it per instructor?
I hate to ask you to repeat. I missed part of it.
What more?
Yes, is the program for the instructors, or is it for the students?
So is the distinction for each campus or college, or is it a distinction for an instructor at that college?
I'll answer that one. It's not instructor specific, if that's what you're asking. It's for the whole program. So yeah, not everybody's out there on their own. The entire program would benefit from it.
Hello, my name is Chris. You guys can hear me?
Yes.
So my question is this: I'm from Middlesex Community College. We do not have currently any program related to UAS, but I'm the founder of the Model Aviation Club, and actually everything that we do, it fits perfectly in the list that you put as the curriculum. Could we use that to apply for the? So we do training platforms. We have simulators. We build the drones ourselves, and actually we have some experimental ones. Can we apply as a 2-year community college to this program, even though there's not an official course load related to this? Thank you.
if there's a type of certification with the 2-year schools, again, it was the degree that says UAS, or just some sort of recognition as a certificate, minor, concentration. Danielle, do you get?
Again, I think Diana said, you know, we're not experts in these terms and in education. We're experts in aviation. So there might be something that we misunderstood there. So we would encourage everybody to send their information in. See if we can include you in the consortium. To that end, Brandon Muller asked a similar question. As you grow the program, you want to collaborate with other instructors and network. That's kind of the whole point here. So the point of the consortium for the 2-year schools is for you guys to kind of get together, share best practices, and determine what you want to get out of it. So if we need to, you know, consider schools that, you know, don't have that program, maybe that's something that we need to build in. So I would say with confidence that we could be somewhat flexible in there within the constraints of the statute.
This is Terry Ayers. I'm with Wallace State Community College in Alabama. One of the difficulties we have currently is that in order for us to offer a certificate or a degree, those courses have to be built and approved at the state level in order for us to use the courses in a pathways document or a mapping for a degree or a certificate. Now I'm in the process of doing that and been working on it for probably about 2 months now. But that process, once it leaves my hands, can generally take anywhere from 6 to 18 months to get those courses approved. And then it takes generally another 6 to 12 months to get the degree approved through the state. So I don't know if other states would have similar issues, but I would certainly be interested to discuss the course descriptions and course coverage for any community colleges that have courses already approved, so that I can mirror my courses, or at least draw from those course descriptions and course requirements, if you will, so that I can help develop those a little faster.
And Terry, be sure and send your contact information in case you don't get an answer. We can possibly connect you up with other community colleges to get your answers.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and we would imagine that the consortium would produce some sort of report or some sort of learnings to publish and share with the community. That would be one of the advantages of the consortium, or one of the benefits of having it.
Hello, this is Albert Wynn at Telus Community College. Got a question. We've had a drone program here for about 5 years, but it's been mainly geared towards industry certifications, and not at the state level, where you have what they call college credit certifications. Would that be applicable here? You know, could we still apply and then maybe work towards getting the education certifications as we move towards an AS degree, or does it strictly rely, when you're talking about certifications, at the state education level?
I'll answer that. I think I think we don't know enough to answer that question. I mean, at least I don't. So yeah, again, please just put your stuff in. There's some nuances in there that we don't fully understand, and maybe we could work through them with you. We also did, I think Scott mentioned in the beginning, consult with Department of Education and Labor. Maybe they can also shed some light on some of that stuff. But unfortunately, I could speak for myself. I'm slightly ignorant when it comes to some of the nuances of accreditation and certificate programs.
Well, and again, and this is Scott from FAA. I would add that, as you've heard, this area for having a collegiate training initiative for drones is a new area for our drone subject matter experts. Although we do have a lot of folks on the air traffic side of the FAA that have this existing program, and so I think there will be a lot of cross collaboration between FAA offices to understand what works and what we can do to have a CTI designation that's still meaningful but also flexible to accommodate those kind of things. If you have a program right now that's either going through certification at the state level, or it doesn't have a a degree yet, but you'd still like to be part of it, that's something that we can work on. As Danielle said, there's a lot of nuance involved, and this is something that's brand new on the drone side for the FAA, but we have it as an existing program for an established for I think a couple of decades on the air traffic side, and so we can leverage their experience and see how we might be able to include you guys into the program as well.
I was curious, the gentleman that asked the question, when you talked about industry certification. So what types of industry certification? I think when we put it all together, and I know Scott and I both, because initially we were looking at just degrees, and it was like, wait a minute, you know, because we have this whole Part 107, if you get your certification, and you're going to have to know a lot of this through your curriculum to, you know, even apply or sit for that test. It's more involved in different areas, but so that was kind of what I was thinking on certification, or that the school does recognize and provides a certificate. But on industry, I'm curious to what you mean.
Well, we do offer the FAA 107.
Perfect. I mean, that's what I thought. I mean, that was in my mind, that, you know, if you're meeting this curriculum and then, you know, your students are ready to sit for Part 107, and, you know, that's a great thing. We want that to happen.
Okay, let's try the raise hand feature through Zoom. I saw one person, a Shane Lipscomb, that had raised their hand and wanted to ask a question. Feel free to unmute. Go ahead.
You hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Shane Lipscomb, American River College. I'm just trying to see if there's an update on when Section 350, right, the rules for drone use for higher education institutions might be rolling out. Anybody know?
This is Danielle. I believe that guidance is going to be rolled up with the Section 349 guidance for recreational flyers, and there's a forthcoming advisory circular on that. And it should, I'm fairly confident it will be included in that guidance.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just adding to Danielle's comment, that's, I think, been, as I understand, a long-standing posture of FAA is treating educational users similar to recreational, and that there was a previous interpretation to that effect from our FAA Chief Counsel's office. And so, yeah, as Danielle said, that'll be forthcoming soon. Although I think in practice, that's largely, you know, already occurring today. Okay, so another.
Hi, yeah. This is Ruth Baker. Is it okay if I jump in?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm with Warwick Community College in Maryland, and I guess just to speak to Diana's question about the distinction, I'm also in workforce training area of our college, and just maybe to help you clarify, for example, we train certified nursing assistants. They get a credential, a certification, but it is not linked to a degree. We train welders. They get welding certifications, but it is not linked to a degree. So I think where I and maybe some of my colleagues are struggling is, you know, where do we fit in? Because if we offered a UAS training that wasn't linked to the college degree track, which many of our trainings do not, is you know, are we part of this family or not?
I think this is one of those areas that, even what Danielle mentioned earlier, that we're just going to have to go back and look at it again, think about it. I hear you. I think, you know, if you have a certification program that's equipping you to go out and work and do that, that ought to be included. But having said that, you know, we probably need to discuss. Please send a message to us separately. And I think if we get together and talk about it, I very much would like to see that part of this program, the certification programs, and I believe that's where we were headed.
Yeah, and I think this kind of question illustrates some of the benefits of what we're trying to do here in general, is to work with you guys to kind of figure out the right sauce here. Because we're realizing UAS is still fairly new, and we've been saying that for probably a decade now, but it still is fairly new, and realize that there's probably not a lot of mature programs out there. So believe the language of the program does say a degree program, but we also do say a certificate. So we might have to rethink that language and work with you guys to do so.
Yeah, and this is Scott again. That's the benefit of having these kind of webinars and getting that feedback. And this is again a new initiative that we're in the process of standing up. And so both on the requirement side of what should be necessary to obtain a Collegiate Training Initiative designation from the FAA, as well as on the benefit side for CTI schools and for the consortium. That's where we want to work with all the schools, and we look forward to the collaboration to find the right requirements and the right opportunities.
And I'm seeing different chats pop up from Albert. Thank you. GIS, construction, those are all areas where UAS is, I mean, it fits in perfectly, especially GIS. You have the whole mapping, drone to map and such. So a lot of the certificate program questions coming through, I feel like you're going to absolutely be included. And we really appreciate everybody commenting and asking the questions.
I have a question. Bob Giuliani from Mid-Michigan College in Mount Pleasant and Clare, Michigan. I apologize, I was a little late getting into this. Is there a place where we can make sure we get all this information? I don't see any place to sign in right now or anything.
Yes. I think Scott is probably going to pull up that, the last slide, Scott. Oh, there you go.
So again, this is Scott from the FAA. I pulled up our, hopefully in Zoom, you can now see the new webpage we've created for the new Collegiate Training Initiative and the consortium as well. There'll be some content, I think, that we add to the page on what we expect from the consortium and the eligibility for that here soon. From the FAA's website, if you go to faa.gov/UAS, on the left-hand navigation, there's a link for educational users. And then within that, there's a page for UAS Collegiate Training Initiative. And that provides a lot of the same information we went through during the briefing today on the email address on how to apply, the initial information to submit about your school and your program. And then the next steps are that the FAA will send you back an initial questionnaire to establish the eligibility for your program, and then work with each individual school that applies to execute a 3-year memorandum of understanding to become designated as a CTI school. And the agency will post a list of, or keep a running list of the CTI schools as well as the schools that are part of the consortium on our website.
Well, we've been working with SkyOp for the last 3 years or so, offering the classes that they provide.
So do they come like to the school and have those classes for you all?
They actually send me the material since I teach the classes. It's a lecture form and it's all the material that might be needed. We teach one for commercial public safety and of course the 107 class. And now since I'm a photographer, we're also adding Photoshop and Adobe Premiere.
Nice.
So this is still something that our college might be interested in addition to what we're doing right now?
Yes, I would definitely apply, and we'll get back with you and you read through the materials once you get those pulled up.
Yeah, the link to the PDF on the page has more details about the program, and there in the middle of the screen you should see the email box at the FAA to send your information, and this is the central box that our program staff will be using to intake those requests to apply for the designation. It's if you can't see it, it's 9-FAA-UAS-CTI@faa.gov.
Hi,
Just
Scott.
a reminder to everyone. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on that, this is Jeff from ARC in California. Is there a mechanism that will help the consortium schools kind of partner with, curriculum development and best practices and things of that nature in terms of at least industry? So I was one who asked about the, industry agnostic and, if there's a drone program that's specifically geared for construction industry, kind of go down that route versus agriculture versus, other types of programs. Is there a mechanism here that you're anticipating where schools could connect with one another?
Yes, that's actually a big intent of the program, is the whole networking and the sharing of best practices. And like what you were saying, if they have content for construction versus another field, That's absolutely a big piece of this is just the sharing of information.
It's just not here yet. That, I guess the intent is that you'll add that as you get participating
Right.
schools. Got
Well,
it.
I think
This
the
is
consortium is intended to be somewhat industry-led in that, or I'm using industry loosely here, led by the members of the consortium. And so it can be whatever you want it to be. And so if there's an interest in subgroups by industry focus, then maybe that's how it gets set up. So the consortium structure is not yet defined. So that's something that the group will kind of do. That's kind of intentionally designed that way so that it forms around the needs and interests of the members of the consortium.
Got it. Thanks.
I also just wanted to reiterate, because a lot of people are asking the same question that Ruth did about we don't really have a degree program, but we have a certificate. This is not a one and done situation. This is a rolling initiative. It's not apply now and get in now or forever hold your peace. The ATO program has been going on for 25 years. We hope that this will continue to morph and change and grow over time. So if you're in the midst of doing something, maybe next year is a better time to apply. That's certainly fine. But we're here to kind of make it, we want it to be valuable to you as well as to us and the industry and the students. So we're listening to you, and this is wonderful feedback. Thank you.
All right, I think we have a couple of minutes left in our webinar session. We could try to field a couple more questions, see if we had anyone on the raise hand try to ask another one, or want to unmute verbally and you can go ahead and try to ask a question. Why don't we try just verbally?
I'll go ahead and jump in. I'm Mark Bilo from Palomar College in San Diego. Hey, I'm looking at your benefits, and we're doing a lot of this already. So I'm just kind of curious, like, what is your guys's, what's optimal that you see this, how it plays out? So if we're already doing these things, but now we're going to be participating in this UAS CTI, what is your ideal that what are we as a collective group going to be doing? You guys are like, yes, we are super stoked. That is exactly what we want them to be doing and accomplishing. I stunned everyone. I've stunned everyone.
No, that's Diana. Go ahead, and then I'll offer some thoughts too.
And I know that they're actually not just Palomar, but other, there's a lot of UAS activity in the San Diego area. The first time I saw a drone was at, I don't even remember what the conference was, but it flew overhead. They had, clearance because it was right by the airport, and that's when I fell in love with drones. So to answer your question, so you all would be helping us tremendously, as well as other schools that are starting out and doing. We would recognize the school, what you're doing. In my mind, I'm thinking I would probably give you a call and say, hey, could we do a webinar and have you tell a little bit about what challenges that you face, what some of the work that you've done. So for now, as far as the benefits, it truly is just that networking, helping others. And I think you'll find that even your relationship with us, the FAA, because some of our programs that are going on now, and the question at the very beginning about remote ID and having that information as it comes available will be the biggest benefit, is that we'll try to, make sure that we deliver it in a way that'll be easy for the students to get a good understanding. Because you have to admit, sometimes you link into FAA in different areas and you're thinking, what did I just read? And you want to talk to that person. You want to have those people that can guide you through what we're trying to accomplish, whatever, if it's a new regulation, if something has changed to benefit you. So Scott, do you want to say more to that, or maybe even Danielle?
I just agree, Diana, your comments and the engagement that the program will create between the FAA and the colleges that have UAS programs or stand up new UAS programs. So engagement between the academic fields and the FAA, engagement with each other across the educational spectrum, engagement with industry, engagement with companies in different industries that may be using drones in their work, in their daily operations in your region or in your area. We can there may be some opportunities to facilitate partnerships and opportunities to interact as we go forward. And I think the FAA will be looking for ways to further develop other benefits and other opportunities as both of these programs get stood up, both the CTI designation, and we have schools that receive that and go through the process, as well as the consortium, the 2-year schools that get designated as CTI, and look for opportunities to have additional benefits with both of them. And so I don't think we have all of those answers right today as we start down this path of setting up these new initiatives, but we'll certainly be looking for even more ways we can do that.
Thanks, and I'll just tack on to that too. I mean, I think it's an opportunity to sort of set the standard. I mean, there's clear requirements for air traffic controllers and for technical personnel, obviously for pilots. There's specific requirements. The UAS industry is newish, as you know, and changing, as are the policies and the regulations. So it's an opportunity to get everybody on the same page and kind of set the standard and move towards a future kind of as a group together, so that we're all aligned.
Can I ask a quick question about the consortium? I'm sorry I missed that conversation at the beginning of the webinar. Is there some other place where I can find that, or perhaps in a day or so the recording will be ready so I can go back and listen to what that is? I'm with the 2-year school.
Sure. So we're going to put some additional information on that, the webpage that we have. It'll be enhanced a little bit to have a little more information on both the Collegiate Training Initiative and the consortium, but essentially any 2-year college, 2-year institution that gets designated as a UAS CTI will also become part of this consortium for Small UAS Technology Training that will be exclusive to that subset of 2-year schools, and we'll look for further opportunities to engage with that consortium and those schools through annual meetings or other FAA opportunities like other webinars and opportunities to engage with industry stakeholders between the consortium and companies. And so that's essentially what the consortium covers, a different requirement from the FAA's Reauthorization Act that Congress gave us in the fall of 2018.
Great, that's very helpful. Thank you very much.
I had a real quick question for you. My name is Aaron Kersner. I'm with the Community College of Baltimore County, where we just finished going through our second revision to our UAS degree. We're also a CTI location for ATC. And with the ATC CTI, we see a very clear potential set of benefits for the students if they complete that program. And I'm just curious if you're foreseeing any sort of benefits to students who attend a UAS CTI program.
Danielle or Diana, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. This program is very different from the ATI program, and we can't promise anything right now. I personally would love to see one day maybe an intern program, but we'll push as much information to you to help with entering the workforce for the new graduates. And, hopefully by them saying we were a UAS CTI program in school, that will also be great for recruitment.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, I see a raised hand, Dave Wall. Go ahead.
You just answered the question. It was about the consortium. Thank you.
Great. Yep. Okay, anyone else before we wrap up? Feel free, and you can unmute. I think we have time. We could do 1 or 2 more if anyone has other questions out there.
Is there a minimum number of credits for certification?
We just want to meet those 7 objectives that we had on the earlier slide. We want to make sure that that's part of your curriculum. Again, the certification and accreditation, all those would be like within your school, how that's going to be set up. We're going to look a little deeper at the certification. We won't be giving you a certificate. Just want to make that clear. It'll be, I'm sure we'll want to reward in some way the thank you type certificate, but an official that would come through the school and would have to be, set up with some of the earlier conversation. But as far as being a CTI, part of the UAS CTI, you would want to meet those that are listed right now, the curriculum, and most would. It's just the general knowing policy, training on actual different types of platforms.
And if the particular question was whether a minimum number of credit hours for students, I probably not. I don't, not at this point, especially, the program is designed to be flexible, given that both 2-year schools and 4-year universities are eligible to become designated as a CTI.
So if we cover everything in 3 classes, that would suffice?
Possibly. I don't know, Diana, Danielle, thoughts?
That was, we've kind of talked that through. We still have some work to do ourselves as far as coming up with the answers to those questions. But I'm thinking that 3 courses that cover everything in a semester or whatever, and a couple of years would suffice, so long as you're meeting all of those.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, why don't we try to do one more if anyone has any, and then we'll wrap for today, and we will get the video posted and the slides as well. But anyone have a last question before we wrap?
Where is this video going to be posted?
So I believe we'll post it to the FAA's official social media accounts. Like we have a YouTube page and Twitter, Facebook. I need to talk to our communications team after the meeting wraps, but I believe we'll be posting it on there. We may even put a link on that new the program page that I was on earlier. We may link to it there. But if you just check that page or check our social media accounts, you should be able to find it here within the next couple of days, I hope.
Okay, good, thank you.
Great, well, this webinar has been great. I'm so encouraged to see how many participants joined us. I think I saw approximately around 300 at one point, or 280 to 300. And hope it was informative for all of you as well to learn about this new CTI initiative. And so thank you all for joining us, and Diana and team and Danielle, thank you for presenting. And we look forward to all of you sending in your questions to the shared email box. Let me go back to that for a minute, and as well as your information about your schools and your programs, your UAS programs. Diana, any last thoughts?
Yes, we really look forward to getting to know you, working with you, and you becoming part of our program.
Danielle, anything else from your end?
I think you guys covered it. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to working with you all.
Great, well, thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon.